Welcome to Basic Brewing Video. I'm James Spencer. A couple of episodes ago, we showed you the first half of a tour of SakéOne, a sake brewery up in Forest Grove, Oregon. Now, we took you in the first part from the beginning to just before the fermentation process. Well, now we're going to pick it up at fermentation and take you all the way to the tasting room where lucky boy Andy Sparks is going to taste some delicious sake. Take it away, Jennifer Brownstein.
So now we're in our fermentation room, and so this is where some really exciting stuff starts to happen. And if you were here with me, I would encourage you to inhale as deeply as possible because it is just so aromatic. Now, we were talking about sake containing 4 basic ingredients. So the 4th ingredient, let's talk a little bit about that. So we have the rice, the water, the koji, and also the yeast. So the yeast, just like our koji, is being supplied from our sister brewery in Japan. And our sister brewery uses commercial as well as proprietary yeasts. These are sake-specific yeasts and really important as far as helping define the profile and the flavor. And as far as sake goes, it's going to ferment to a higher alcohol than beer and most wines. Sake usually ferments to an alcohol of about 18 to about 21%. And they're not actually bottled at that percentage of alcohol, but we'll get back to that a little bit later. I'm standing right next to our moto tank, or our fermentation starter tank, and this is where all of the ingredients, the rice, the water, the yeast, and the koji are joined together. We have a lot of movement happening, and this is what our sake master likes to call our volcano erupting. And this is the beginning of the process here. This tank here has just begun fermenting. The moto was built as of yesterday. It was completed. And so right now, what you're seeing is you're seeing some activity, and you're seeing the yeast start to convert some of the sugar into alcohol. There's not a lot of alcohol being produced at this stage, and this is really mildly aromatic. So what we have here in this tank is the same style of our sake. So this is our Momukawa Silver, yet this is been fermenting for about 8 days. And there's a party going on in that tank. The yeast is virtually gorging itself on the sugar and converting it to alcohol. So the process from the moto to fermentation, the entire process is about 4 weeks long. Here we're about 2 weeks into the fermentation process, and as you could see, the yeast, well, it's fed itself pretty well. There's a little less activity going on here, but at this point the alcohol has really started to climb, and we're really starting to get a lot of aromas being developed here at this stage. Welcome to our tasting room. While brewing is fun, this is the part I get really excited about, tasting. So actually I have a few different styles of sake that I wanted to share with you. Mentioned earlier that we produce traditional Junmai Ginjo, so a pure rice sake where the rice sees a degree of polish. It's polished to 60% of its original size. And this is our organic Junmai Ginjo. It's the first sake in the country to carry a seal of approval by the USDA. Really light, smooth, crisp, and tropical, really pretty. Here we have a personal favorite, our G-Joy sake. G represents a style of sake called Genshu, and this is a Genshu, or cast strength sake. We spoke earlier about how sake naturally ferments to a higher alcohol, anywhere from 18 to 20%. Well, this sake it brewed to 18%, and that's where it was bottled. Whereas most see a dilution. It's common to add water to actually reduce the alcohol and soften the sake. So going back to the organic Junmai Ginjo, this one, for example, is just under 15%, and that's pretty typical for sake. You know, some folks that have had maybe an experience with sake where it tasted, well, like really strong alcohol, maybe like fire water. Not all sake is created equal. You know, a premium sake should be really nice and smooth and balanced, and even when it's bottled at full strength, like this G, like the Genshu, it's going to be just as smooth, as balanced as a sake that's bottled at a percentage of alcohol that's lower. Here we have a different example of a Genshu sake. So while this sake is bottled at full strength, this is the Namazake, or the raw unpasteurized sake that we discussed earlier. That's going to be really bright and youthful and just vibrant fruit. And I'm going to taste a little Nigori. This is the antique style of sake that we were discussing earlier. The sake that, well, think Hefeweizen beer. So it's coarsely filtered. It's bottled on the rice sediment. Right here I'm shaking it well to reintroduce the sediment back into the sake. The result is milky, creamy, round, rich sake. This is our organic Nigori.
Wow, that smells really nice. It's almost thick in the glass. It reminds me of almost coconut milk, the way it looks. But it smells so beautiful. It's very floral, lots of very fruity aromas. I just can't get enough of that. Let's try it. Delicious. Very thick, viscous. Very nice. A little bit of warmth from the alcohol at the finish. Delicious.
I just wanted to pour a little bit of our traditional organic Junmai Ginjo so you could actually see the comparison between a filtered and an unfiltered sake. And Andy, I'm going to just pass this to you just in case you want to take a look at the aromas, because it's wonderful. The profile is very similar.
Yeah, it is. It's slightly different. This has almost like a creamy aroma. It's this real soft, lush aroma. Let's give it a taste. Very nice. Not as soft and creamy in your mouth as this one, but delicious, smooth, very elegant.
Well, thank you for taking a little bit of time to visit us in Forest Grove, Oregon, and just like to invite you to visit us in person. Our tasting room's open to the public every day from 11 to 5, and we offer tours of the brewery each day at 1, 2, and 3. So you're able to come out and really just get to know sake on a really personal level out here. We do offer several different tastings where you're able to sample all of the styles that we've just discussed, in addition to numerous others that are brewed here, as well as imported from the Mirai family, our sister brewery in Japan. So look forward to seeing you.
Come and visit us on the web. At basicbrewing.com, you can find archive lists of both our audio and video podcasts on home brewing. You can also find our DVDs, Introduction to Extract Home Brewing, Stepping into All Grain, Low-Tech Lagering and Decoction Mashing, and our latest edition, Introduction to Wine Kits. And for a limited time, check out our 2010 Brewer's Logbook. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Write to james@basicbrewing.com. steve@basicbrewing.com, or just use the contact form on basicbrewing.com. That's a big B.